Are you looking for the ultimate guide on how to use Enamorus when it eventually drops in Pokemon Sword Shield, Legends Arceus, Competitive, or whatever format you're looking for? Hi, I'm Liv, and today we're going to be going over how to use Enamorus and what makes it so good. So if you enjoy, leave a like below and subscribe for more content just like this. And with that said, let's get into it. So first things first, what does Enamorus have for stats? So Enamorus is a Pokemon with 74 HP, 115 attack, 70 Phys Def, 135 special attack, 80 speed F, and 106 speed with the healer and contrary abilities. So on paper, this new genie isn't the worst actually. I think it's actually pretty good. I would at least put this above the Therian forms for Landorus-Therian, and at the very least above, well actually that's probably the only one I would put it above truthfully, but the genies have a lot of high competition. Maybe I just put it above the Landorus Raw, but that really just depends on if this keeps tradition for a couple moves that it gets normally, because of stuff like the Thundurus, Tornadus, and Landorus all having certain patterns and movesets. So as long as it keeps those, I feel confident that at the very least this will be better than the Thundurus forms, if nothing else. With this stat line, it's actually pretty good, considering this outpaces some Pokemon that are very common in OU, such as, for example, Garchomp, which with this speed tier, you're able to actually really hard wall Garchomp, which is truthfully really amazing. This cannot be overstated in my opinion, considering Garchomp is one of the best Pokemon consistently throughout OU metagame, as well as Pokemon formats such as Draft League. This is a really top tier Pokemon, and even outside of that, this typing in general is just really good offensively, and typically this sort of typing as well lends itself to a lot of support pieces just because of the fairy typing. So with that said, what are some movesets that you could utilize? So I'll say right now, sadly, there's nothing really like Flare Cannon that you could take advantage of with Fairy yet for Contrary. So Contrary and Healer are both kind of useless abilities, but that's not to say that there's not movesets you can make work. For example, we have the first set with Life Orb Contrary. This set has Sludge Wave, Moonblast, Mystical Fire, and Earth Power. With this set, you're just max speed with Life Orb. The coverage itself should truthfully be able to destroy opposing teams. With Mystical Fire, Earth Power, and Moonblast being able to hit not only with your stab, at least one of your stabs, but Mystical Fire and Earth Power also handle every single type you are actually weak to, which is really incredible. With this speed, as I said, you're outpacing stuff like Garchomp, as well as a lot of OU threats. If you were to pair this with a really good Sticky Web user, you should be able to handle a lot of Pokemon that might be able to revenge you otherwise. This would be Pokemon such as Gengar and Kartana, which you could easily hit with Earth Power and Mystical Fire respectively, so this makes this Pokemon infinitely more powerful. Because this is a Life Orb set, I opted for Sludge Wave, really just to hit any sort of fairies. This would be stuff like Toppies in the tier, as well as maybe opposing grass types like, for example, Rillaboom, with just a little bit more edge than Mystical Fire might hold. However, at the same time, you could still change this for Calm Mind, which will actually go into why I didn't put Calm Mind in this set in a little bit, because we do still have a Calm Mind that I actually want to break down. But with the Life Orb, you're able to do a lot of damage and make this Pokemon a really good wall breaker, which in my opinion is probably the best way to use Enamorus as a special attacker. I do think Calm Mind is still a very good set though if you want to try it. I just think there's a better item for it at the very least, which right now we're going to get into the Calm Mind variant, which is Enamorus with Heavy Duty Boots. This set has Mystical Fire, Draining Kiss, Earth Power, and Calm Mind, and basically the reason that I opted for this, actually you're going to want to take off Contrary for this one. I forgot to do that, but definitely take off Contrary for this one, I promise you. Clicking Contrary with Calm Mind is probably the worst idea you could be doing. But clicking Contrary with Calm Mind though ultimately should allow you to drop your special attack and special defense as quickly as possible so you can faint really quickly. If you were to do this with Healer though, unlike the set that I put up here, with Healer and Calm Mind, you should be able to actually boost your special attack and defense. Well, special attack and special defense. And then Draining Kiss is a really good way to boost your HP as well, because you'll be boosting your offenses. So the little bit of the dip in the Fairy base power should hopefully help you make up for it with recovery, which this Pokemon currently does lack. At the very least, all the genies typically lack this, so I would not count on it. Earth Power and Mystical Fire, as there's plenty of coverage to use. And with the Heavy Duty Boots over Life Orb, not only are you not taking rock shit, but you're also not taking damage from each attack you're using. So this could also be swapped out for leftovers for the passive recovery, but personally I would still keep the Heavy Duty Boots here, because I feel like the Heavy Duty Boots ultimately will just be better long term, especially if you need to give up a sweep at one point, because Enamorus probably won't be going for a sweep unless you have webs up. If you were to pair this with webs though, there's a very good opportunity to be running a leftovers here, because at that point you probably could afford to go for a game, because with webs up you'll be outpacing a lot of common Scarfers, and really unless it's like a Scarflottie or Gengar, which you could easily Calm Mind around those Pokemon, not many Pokemon are really going to outpace you, but to be fair, at least in the Lottie's end, they'll outpace you anyway just because they have Levitate, so you'll need T-Wave support for that. But ultimately though, just pairing this with a good speed control could open up a lot of opportunities. And even in VGC, if you were to run this, you could probably just swap it out for something like a Switch Spray at that point and make this work really well in that format as well. On to the final set, I want to throw in a physical set, and this set is contrary with Zen Headbutt, Play Off, Superpower, and Fly. Now this would be the set I actually take advantage of contrary with. Initially, obviously, this doesn't get Fly or Superpower. However, I was looking through Twitter when I was tweeting this out for a VGC set, but with Special, and there was someone who actually replied to my tweet. I gotta double check who it was, but there was someone who replied to my tweet, Quackbox42, who ended up mentioning a couple sets that could end up popping. One was Self-Imposed Eerie Impulse, which was really cool. The other one was the fact that most of the genies consistently get Superpower, which would basically be a huge bulk up for this Pokemon. Not only that, but its coverage for Steel types and also Rock types, which are two of its weaknesses. Then Zen Headbutt's a great coverage for the Poison types. So while the coverage isn't as perfect for handling weaknesses, you still hit a good amount of them with this set. And not only that, but typically genies also get Fly, so this would be a set that you could actually run flying coverage for. With that in mind, Play Off is still a really good option, and in terms of contrary, you could actually take advantage of this with one of the most common Pokemon in OU being Landorus, because Landorus would pop your contrary as well, giving you even more of an attack boost, which does help a ton. This is a set that I would also recommend highly in doubles if you were to play that, because Incineroar and Lando are two of the most used Pokemon, and not only would you have Superpower for the Incineroar, but Play Off is still really good at hitting Landorus, and you'd be able to boost your stacks every time. Well, you'd be able to boost your stats every single time that one of those two comes in and touches the field, which makes this Pokemon that much more terrifying in my opinion to actually utilize in a format like VGC. However, this set could still easily work in OU with great success. Now I do want to really quickly cover the Therian form as well. The Therian form swaps out a lot of that speed. It takes about 60 out of speed and boosts its defense and speed death. This makes it a lot more of a bulky option, and with Overcoat, you can actually pair this on Weathers, typically in my opinion, or just avoid stuff like Spore, which could help a lot. For example, in a National Dex metagame, this is great for Pokemon like, for example, Breloom, that might go for for Spore on you, or even stuff like Smeargle on the occasional Webs team that could, again, just go for Spore. But this is also really good to pair with something like a T-Tar because you're not taking Sandship anymore, or even with Veil because you're not taking Hail, so something like a Alolan Ninetales could easily set up a really good set of Veil for you, and that would ultimately help a ton. In VGC, this is more so for the Hailstorms or the Max Rockfalls, so pick and choose your battles there, but regardless, it does work really well. Sadly though, without any reliable recovery, this definitely does lend itself to being worn down pretty quickly, but you can still use it as a really good tank, as we're going to see in this set here, which consists of Assault Vest and Enamorus, which sadly I cannot fit it all on the screen. I should probably check for that, but it is what it is. AV Enamorus though, with Assault Vest, with Overcoat. We have Mystical Fire, Earth Power, Moonblast, and Draining Kiss. This is a set actually that I mostly workshop for Trick Room, so that's why you can see the 0 attack and it's cut off with 0 speed IV. With this set, you are basically able to take on, I mostly made this for a National Dex setting actually, and you'll see that video soon-ish on the channel, but with 248 HP and 232 special defense, after rocks, you should actually be able to guarantee take any hit from Ash Greninja, which in my opinion is really incredible. Not only that, but I believe you could take, if I got the calc right, it's for rain boosted Hydro Pump. So you can take a single one of those and then just revenge it off in Trick Room with Moonblast, which honestly is really incredible because Trick Room really does struggle with handling Ash Gren. So especially on rain teams, this would be really, really good at handling that. And not only this, but with the Fizz Def investment, you're able to actually also take a Stone Edge from Leftovers Garchomp after rocks, which is really useful because most Garchomp either run the Z move or they run Leftovers. Very few times these days do you really see Life Orb in National Dex, or even just in Standard, Life Orb is becoming more of a rarity for stuff like Rocky Helmet or Leftovers, because you can easily just run something like a Sword Dance set. So with that in mind, I definitely think that personally this is the set to run. It's really good for Trick Room, and it's a really good long-term tank. However, you could easily sub out Assault Vest for heavy-duty boots, or that maybe more longevity against hazards. But if you pair this with something like an Excadrill, for example, as I mentioned with the Sand argument, you can easily clear the hazards for it and not have to worry about that. If you guys enjoyed and learned something new, leave a like below and subscribe for more content just like this. Shout out to our channel members being Z0, Josh aka Ultra Player, Randy Chappa, Mia, Rika Hoshizora, and Pokemon fan Majestic Xerneas. You guys help keep the channel afloat, and I really appreciate it. With that said, I will see you guys in the next video where we will be tackling tomorrow's Road to Rank for Solgaleo, and the next one of these is going to be how to use Hisui and Gujo. So hopefully I see you guys in both of those videos. Until then though, peace out guys.